日曜日の朝、トム・ソーヤーの挑戦が始まります。彼の試練は聖書の一節を暗記すること。姉メアリーからの秘密の報酬に胸を躍らせながら、彼は奮闘します。そして、教会でのサプライズ、裁判官からの突然の質問が彼の運命を左右することに。一体トムはこのピンチをどう乗り越えるのか、彼の答えは予想外の反響を呼びます。このお話は、トムの知恵と勇気の試される日を描いています。
The morning started peacefully, with the sun shining warmly over the village, setting a calm and serene atmosphere. After breakfast, Aunt Polly led a prayer session that was deeply rooted in Scripture, followed by a reading that felt as solemn as if it were delivered directly from a mountaintop. Then, it was time for Tom to learn his Bible verses, a task he approached with less enthusiasm than required. Sid had already memorized his days ago. Tom, hoping to make the task easier, chose parts of the Sermon on the Mount, thinking they might be shorter. Despite spending half an hour on the task, he only had a rough understanding of his verses. His mind wandered off to various thoughts, and his attention was easily diverted by anything else he could fiddle with. When Mary came to listen to him recite, Tom struggled to make sense of his lesson, lost in a mental fog of distraction and disinterest. Tom struggled to recall his verses, starting with, "Blessed are the poor," Mary prompted. "Yes, poor. Blessed are the poor, in spirit." She helped again. "In spirit. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for they. Theirs." Mary tried to guide him. "For theirs. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are they that mourn, for they. sh," she hinted. "For they, Mary continued, trying to spell it out for him. "For they oh, I don't know what it is," Tom exclaimed in frustration. "Shall," Mary finally said clearly. "Oh, shall. For they shall, shall mourn, blessed are they that shall, they that shall mourn, for they shall what? Why don't you tell me, Mary? What do you want to be so mean for?" Tom complained, struggling and getting frustrated with Mary's hints instead of clear answers. Mary reassured Tom, telling him she wasn't making fun of him and encouraged him to try learning his lesson again. She promised him a nice reward if he succeeded, which made Tom eager to know what it was. Mary kept it a secret, but assured him it would indeed be something nice. Motivated by the promise of a reward and his curiosity, Tom gave it another go and managed to memorize his verses well. As a reward, Mary gave Tom a new Barlow knife, which made him incredibly happy, even though the knife wasn't very sharp. To Tom, owning a real Barlow knife was a big deal, a symbol of prestige among boys, despite its practical limitations. He immediately started testing its capabilities on the furniture, until he had to get ready for Sunday school. Mary gave Tom a basin with water and soap to wash outside. But Tom pretended to wash, pouring the water away and just acting like he cleaned his face before going back inside. When he tried to dry his face on a towel, Mary caught him and said, "Tom, you shouldn't do that. You need to wash for real. Water won't hurt you." Tom felt a bit uneasy. This time, he actually washed his face, ending up with suds and water all over him. However, he only cleaned the upper part of his face well, leaving the area below his chin dirty. Mary then helped him clean up properly, making him look neat and tidy. She arranged his hair and dressed him in his Sunday clothes, which were his only set of other clothes, showing how limited his wardrobe was. Tom felt uncomfortable in his clean and proper outfit, not liking the feeling of being fully dressed up. He even got upset when Mary remembered his shoes and prepared them for him, complaining about always having to do things he didn't like. But Mary gently encouraged him. "Please, Tom, that's a good boy." Tom reluctantly put on his shoes, clearly not happy about it. Soon after, Mary, Tom, and Sid were ready to leave for Sunday school, a place Tom did not like at all, though Sid and Mary enjoyed it. Sunday school lasted until 10:30, followed by the church service. Sid and Mary usually stayed for the sermon because they wanted to, while Tom had other reasons for staying. The church was simple and small, with seating for around 300 people. As they approached the church, Tom slowed down and spoke to a friend who was also dressed for Sunday. "Hey, Billy, do you have a yellow ticket?" "Yes." "What do you want for it?" "What will you give me?" "A piece of licorice and a fish hook." "Let me see them." Tom successfully traded his items for various colored tickets before entering the church filled with other children. Inside, he quickly began causing mischief, drawing the attention and disapproval of his teacher multiple times. Despite the distractions, Tom and his classmates managed to recite their verses, though imperfectly, and received blue tickets as rewards. These tickets were part of a system where they could be traded for higher value tickets, and eventually, for a Bible after collecting a significant number. Despite the distractions, Tom and his classmates managed to recite their verses, though imperfectly, and received blue tickets as rewards. These tickets were part of a system where they could be traded for higher value tickets, and eventually, for a Bible after collecting a significant number. This system required a lot of effort and memorization from the students, with Mary and a boy of German parentage being notable examples of success in this endeavor. Acquiring a Bible this way was seen as a major achievement, sparking ambition in the other students. While Tom might not have been genuinely interested in the prizes themselves, he certainly craved the recognition and status that came with winning them. The superintendent, a key figure in the Sunday school, stood up to address everyone, signaling the start of his speech by holding a hymn book in a very formal manner, even though he didn't actually use it for reference. This man, Mr. Walters, was quite distinctive looking, with his particular fashion sense and earnest demeanor. He was genuinely devoted to his religious duties, so much so that his voice changed tone when he spoke about sacred matters, showing his deep respect for them. With this solemn attitude, he began his address to the children and teachers present, marking the transition into the more formal part of the Sunday school session. Mr. Walters began his speech with a friendly request for the children to pay attention, positioning it as a way for good little boys and girls to behave, even making a light joke about a child looking out the window, as if she might expect him to be outside talking to the birds, which elicited a small laugh from the audience. He expressed his happiness at seeing so many eager young faces ready to learn about being good and doing right, a common theme for such addresses, thus familiar to everyone present. As his speech went on, however, the usual distractions began to take hold of the audience. Fights broke out among some of the more troublesome boys, and a general restlessness spread throughout the room, affecting nearly everyone, even usually well-behaved children like Sid and Mary. Despite these disturbances, the end of Mr. Walters' speech brought a sudden, if quiet, relief to all, a silent thanks from the audience for its conclusion. The quiet murmurings in the room had been partly stirred by the arrival of guests, an occurrence not too common. Lawyer Thatcher, with an elderly man, a distinguished-looking middle-aged gentleman with gray hair, and what appeared to be his wife, leading a child. Tom, who had been feeling uneasy and guilty, especially around Amy Lawrence, found his spirits lifted at the sight of the new young girl. Instantly, he began to act out, seeking attention and approval through playful mischief and antics, hoping to catch the girl's interest. This moment of joy made him momentarily forget the embarrassment he had experienced in her presence before, as his current happiness washed away those uncomfortable memories. The visitors got the best seats, and once Mr. Walters finished talking, he introduced them to everyone. The middle-aged man was actually a very important person, the county judge, which made him very special to the children. They had never seen anyone so important before, and were both curious and a bit scared of him. He lived far away, had traveled, and even seen the county courthouse, which was rumored to have a tin roof. The children were so impressed that they went silent, just staring. Jeff Thatcher quickly went up to the judge, making all the other kids envious. They all wished they could be as bold as Jeff. They whispered among themselves, amazed that Jeff was actually talking to the judge. "Look at him, Jim. He's going up there. Look. He's going to shake hands with him. He is shaking hands with him. Wow, don't you wish you were Jeff?" Mr. Walters became very busy, moving around a lot and giving out orders, trying to impress the visitors with his leadership. The librarian was also busy, carrying books around and making a big show of his duties. The female teachers were extra nice to the students, gently scolding the naughty ones and praising the good ones, while the male teachers tried to show their authority and focus on discipline. Many teachers found reasons to be near the front, by the library or pulpit, often doing tasks repeatedly as if they were very important. The little girls found subtle ways to draw attention to themselves, and the little boys were very active, throwing paper wads and moving around a lot. Through all this, the important visitor, the judge, sat smiling, enjoying the attention and respect he was getting from everyone, as he too was showing off in his own way. Mr. Walters was longing for a special moment to award a Bible prize and showcase a remarkable student. Although some students had collected many yellow tickets, none had enough for a Bible. Mr. Walters wished for the return of a former student, a German boy who had once recited thousands of verses, but whose mind had suffered afterwards. Just when all hope seemed lost, Tom Sawyer stepped up with enough tickets for a Bible, surprising everyone, especially Mr. Walters. Tom had gathered 9 yellow tickets, 9 red tickets, and 10 blue ones, enough for the coveted prize. This was unexpected, and Mr. Walters had to acknowledge Tom's achievement. Tom was brought to the front, joining the distinguished visitors, and the announcement of his accomplishment was made to the entire school. This event created a huge stir, placing Tom on the same level of admiration as the judge himself. The other boys were filled with envy, especially those who realized they had indirectly contributed to Tom's success by trading their tickets with him. They felt tricked by Tom, who had cleverly amassed his tickets by selling the opportunity to help with his whitewashing task. These boys regretted their decisions, feeling outsmarted by Tom's cunning plan. Tom received his Bible prize from Mr. Walters, who tried to show as much enthusiasm as possible, but something seemed off. Mr. Walters himself sensed something wasn't quite right, feeling it was unbelievable that Tom could have learned so much scripture. The idea that Tom had truly earned all those tickets by memorizing verses seemed far-fetched to him. Amy Lawrence, who had feelings for Tom, was initially happy and proud of him. She tried to catch Tom's attention to show her feelings, but Tom avoided looking at her. This made Amy confused and a little upset. As she watched more and thought about the situation, she started to feel suspicious, and then realized something might not be as it seemed. This realization made her feel jealous and upset, leading her to feel angry and betrayed by Tom more than anyone else. Tom was brought in front of the judge, feeling incredibly nervous and overwhelmed, not just by the judge's impressive presence, but also because he was the father of the girl Tom admired. The judge's kind attention made Tom even more anxious. When asked for his name, Tom initially just managed to say, Tom, but after a prompt, he corrected himself to Thomas, and with a little more encouragement, he remembered to add his full name, Thomas Sawyer, along with a respectful, Sir, as Mr. Walters reminded him to mind his manners. The judge praised Tom for learning so many verses, telling him knowledge is the most valuable thing in the world, and it would make him into a great and good man someday. He said Tom would look back and be thankful for his Sunday school education, his teachers, and the superintendent who gave him a splendid Bible to keep forever. He emphasized that Tom would feel this education and Bible were priceless, contributing to his good upbringing. Encouraged by this praise, the judge then gently asked Tom if he could share some of what he learned, mentioning he was sure Tom wouldn't mind showcasing his knowledge, especially about the 12 disciples. The judge asked Tom to name the first 2 disciples, showing interest in Tom's education and wanting to hear about his learning progress. Tom was feeling shy and unsure. He looked down, feeling embarrassed. Mr. Walters was worried and thought to himself that Tom might not be able to answer even a simple question. But he encouraged Tom, saying, Answer the gentleman, Thomas. Don't be scared. Tom didn't say anything at first. Then the lady said, Now I know you'll tell me. The first 2 disciples' names were. Tom finally answered, but he got it wrong, saying, David and Goliath. It's best if we don't talk about what happened next.